People who are just joining us, I'd like to welcome you all to our sixth annual Dawa conference, mashallah, hosted by Ar-Rashad Foundation, and extend my gratitude to our host, Shaykh Hazrat Maulana Faizul Haq Abdul Aziz Hafizullah. I am honored to be joined on stage today with our guests and panelists, mashallah. The topic of discussion will be youth education and character, and the limited time that we have, inshallah, I will try to ask as many questions as I can to the panelists and hopefully benefit from their knowledge, inshallah ta'ala. So today's panel will be focusing on youth education and character, but from a real lived experience angle. Our young people are not growing up in a vacuum today. They're growing up in a world shaped by hip-hop culture, gaming, social media, the effects of the pandemic, and a constant pull towards a lifestyle that glamorizes rebellion, criminality. We're not here today to diagnose these problems because we know that these problems exist. Rather, today we want to ask some important questions to leaders of the community to say what is our role as masajid and madaris and leaders of the community and leaders of the youth today, how are we going to counter these issues. So, inshallah, I'll go with question one, inshallah, and I would like to pose the first question, inshallah, to Maulana Shahidullah, inshallah, if I may. So, Hazrat, our youth are being shaped by, as I mentioned, hip-hop culture, social trends, gaming, movies, and the wider social environment. What should masajid, madaris, and community projects be doing to actively counter these influences and provide positive, engaging alternatives?
This is really important. I believe that when we look at the picture of our rooms and our institutions, we see that I believe more than 95% of our Muslim youth and children, they go to state education. And over there, obviously, they don't have anybody who will advise them for salah, being connected with deen, and avoid the social trend that is against our deen. So here, the masajid definitely have got a very vital role. So the masjid, unfortunately, we have a traditional way of teaching in the maktab, where my teachers, they used to say this, in the masjid, we do indoctrinate the children. So it's a culture and style of dictating from above to down. Now, to get the youth engaged and to hear their voice, the masjid should have open sessions and circles where the children, they can raise their concern and they will be dealt with nice advice and as well as hear their concerns, and which we often fail actually. We most of the masajid, we don't have that venue where a youth can come and say that, okay, I'm 18, I'm 20, okay, how can I get married? Okay, or how can I do this? And the social issues that they follow. So therefore, in the agenda of each masjid, they should have programs that will be fully focusing on the youth, and also they should have budget for that. I think our most budget should go for that, the masjid, because then we'll be able to give them quality sessions with these experts, okay, with the Q&A sessions, maybe reading sessions, and maybe discussing and unfolding the social norm that they are very much inclined with. So what are the harms and benefits of that? If we have regular sessions for that, then surely the youth will benefit and they will be engaged in that.
Jazakumullah khair, Hazrat. Of course, I'm sure many people will be thinking that the masjids out there that are doing this type of work, if only, inshallah, that it was a bit more accessible to the youth to actually attend them, and maybe the masajids could be doing a bit more work, inshallah, to invite those youth in, making them sure that they don't feel, looked down upon or judged, inshallah. Question number 2 is for Mufti Sahib, mashallah. So, Mufti Sahib, many young people feel isolated and turn to gangs for belonging and identity. What should our masajid and madaris be doing to create a genuine sense of belonging, safety, and brotherhood, sisterhood, so teenagers are drawn into our spaces rather than pushed out towards gangs, gun crime, drugs, and violence?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I think there's 2 issues that need to be discussed over here. First of all, I think before I explain those 2 issues, I don't think the ulama have the answer for this only. I think this is something which we have to pool together all of the Muslim Ummah's resources to find a solution for this. The ulama can give answers on Quran and Sunnah and fiqh and ijtihad, but when it comes to the problem which is faced by the masses, then we have to bring in all of our expertise. And this is how it's always been. When Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam was preparing for the Battle of Khandaq, he asked the Sahaba, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should go about this? And I think there's 3 things, I said 2, but I think there's 3 things which we can learn from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding answering this. And the first, I think, is we have to create a strong environment at home. I used to teach in the maktab maybe, 15 years ago. And I remember then one of the biggest problems the maktab teachers faced were the children would come twice to 2 hours a day, that's 5 days a week. But the problem was whatever you taught them in the madrasa, in the mosque, they would see the opposite of that in most cases at home. You're trying to teach a child about how you sacrifice for the sake of Allah, but when they go home to their parents, they see their dad smoking, they see them watching TV, they see them watching movies, they see all of these things, and for them they have to compartmentalize life. So for a child, he has to have one life in the mosque and almost a totally different life, which is asymmetrical, outside of the mosque. Now, you see, this is where cracks appear in people's faith, because a child who grows up believing this, I personally think, results in a child finding it difficult to implement Islam in the real world. For them, Islam is only in the books. It's only from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening. That's it. That's the first thing I think that needs to be worked upon, strengthening. Number 2, the second is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he empowered youngsters from the beginning. Who was the first youngster to accept Islam? Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu. And if you look at throughout the 23 years of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's mission, you will see the number of youngsters that were given roles that today we wouldn't even give them to adults today. Leading an army, 17-year-old youngster leads an army to Byzantine. Usama bin Zayd. Mus'ab ibn Umair was in his late teens or maybe early 20s when he was sent to Medina to teach the Quran to the people of Medina. You imagine this. The people that came out of this. You had from the people of Medina, Zayd ibn Thabit, who became the translator of the Prophet ﷺ in 17 days. And he was in his late teens as well. You had Mu'adh ibn Jabal in his early 20s was sent to Yemen to become a governor. You imagine these types of ages are things we don't even think our youngsters are ready for marriage at these ages. So there seems to be this dichotomy we have, where we have youngsters out there that have so much potential, but we're not giving them the right space, we're not giving them the right opportunities to be able to show. Of course, youngsters are going to make lots of mistakes. Who doesn't make mistakes? And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by giving the youngsters this power, and this goes for ladies as well. Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, they say, some of the ulama said 2/3 of the knowledge came from Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha. 2/3. Yeah, shatr al-ilm. some say half of knowledge. The point is that youngsters are the ones that are going to build this community in the future. If you leave that, if you have a vacuum where the elders die and the youngsters have to work out for themselves what they have to do, that's another problem. And I think the third thing that we have to do as well, which is we have to be able to provide an alternative to gangs, alternative to games, alternative to social media. There has to be something that has to be able to become a substitute. It's easy for a parent to say to a child, don't watch TikTok. The kids are not going to listen to their parents. They're going to watch it. Because their friends at school are looking at TikTok. Their friends at Maktab maybe even playing these games or going on these social media platforms. So we have to become ahead now. So we have to go ahead and understand, okay, how do we resolve this problem? Because remember, like Maulana mentioned about addictions. Addictions are very bad. Social media is an addiction. And ultimately, the harms that will be, I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s, where there was no social media like we have today. And we had problems as well. And today there's problems as well. So every time problems come, alhamdulillah, there's always a solution. Yeah, and like I said in the beginning, if we pool all of our skills together, we bring the accountants in, and we bring the guys who work for the council in, and we bring the guys who do youth work, we bring them all in. We have regular meetings in the year. Inshallah, I apologize for the long answer, but I think that's something from...
Yeah, that's what happens when you ask a Mufti Sahib a question, right? You're going to get the whole backdrop, mashallah. So look, just to encapsulate what Mufti Sahib is obviously saying is, let's start from the homes first. We cannot have one education inside the masjid and at home they're showing something totally the opposite. And number two, obviously empower the youth to get more responsibilities within the community. And number three, obviously pool everybody's resources together to ensure that there's more resources available for our youth and offering them a positive alternative. Gone are the days where we need to say to our youth, you can't do this and you can't do that, because they're going to continue doing it. Rather, we should be saying to them, you can't do this, however, do this instead. Is that
100%?
So we've mentioned Dars Nizami twice now, Maulana Sahib. So obviously there's no getting away from it. We also mentioned maktabs as well. So is our current Dars Nizami and maktab system truly sufficient for the reality our youth are living in today? Or do these systems need to be updated, reworked and modernized to address contemporary challenges such as the gaming culture, pop culture and the social media influence?
This is really a very important question, that we always face, when we are leading Darul Ulooms and also Maktabs. One thing I face that in Darul Ulooms, when our children, they come, say, from year 7 to year 11, we teachers, experts in hadith, fiqh, tafsir, with the wealth of knowledge, say 15, 20 years, and also in teaching more years. But what we see in reality that our children, they don't have any thirst for the deen knowledge. And this comes because there is no real picture of these knowledge, whether it is Dars Nizami or Maktab out there. They don't feel that, they say, for example, in Darul, if we teach Sarf Nahwu, they say, okay, Ustaz, what's the application of that, in outside? What this will benefit me in my practical life? So that's a real question. And we don't have any answer for that. That's a shocking reality. Because the children, at the end of year 7, when the parents, they lose their control over them, because maybe they forced them to come to Darul Ulooms in year 7 because they didn't have any power to choose. Now they have the choice. They say, okay, I don't care what you say, because this is my life. I will design it the way I want. So what they can do, at the end of year 11, when they choose for their college or uni, they feel full autonomy that this is my life. So at that time, for most, the Darul Uloom knowledge and Dini knowledge, everything is backward. Okay, and only thing they think that I want to be a doctor, solicitor, or maybe a lawyer, okay, or someone with profession, okay, who will be earning, okay, a lot of money. So therefore, even shocking, okay, to say that our Darul Ulooms don't have any unification. There is no set syllabus. There is no set exam system that everybody follow. There is no set curriculum, and there is no certificates that will be valued, okay, for your job, okay, or for your practical life. So this is a real question that you have asked me. I believe that all the Darul Ulooms across UK, not only across UK, the whole world, they should come forward and they should standardize a syllabus, a curriculum, a methodology, pedagogy, okay, that how to deliver that, and what is the outcome, and that needs to be recognized by everybody. Then our children will feel that, okay, this is recognized and there is a value for that, okay, out there in my practical life. Otherwise, it's going to be just, okay, one of my colleague, okay, Dr. Dawood Bon, he used to say that, okay, the Darul certificates are given for the sake of attendance. Okay, do you believe that? Okay, because our children, okay, they just attend, okay, from year 1 to year end, okay, and then we're giving them the banana, okay, we're giving them the recognition, all of that. I don't deny that, okay, yes, of course, we should give that, and that has some value, okay, of that. But in reality, there's a big vacuum, okay, that children, they don't love to do that, they're forced to do this. So when there will be a reality matching, then they will be loving that. And that is missing actually.
Jazakumullah khair, Hazrat. I've already been given the marker that our time's shortly coming to an end. I did have quite a few questions over here, really hard-hitting questions, but there's one particular question, and I think in a room full of where the average attendance, it looks to me like majority of us over here are under the age of 30, probably even more so than that. Most people are even under the age of 25. So I want to address something, Mufti Sahib, very quickly, inshallah, you can provide some insight into it. So whilst issues like drugs, knife crime, and the pandemic are often discussed, pornography remains a silent but pervasive threat, and it is affecting our youth. How can the Muslim community effectively address the harmful impact of pornography on young people, and what guidance and support can we as Islamic leaders offer to help them avoid it and lead healthier lives and more fulfilling lives?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So this is a question which unfortunately is something that's becoming more and more common in the circles. In the past, it was very difficult to get access to pornographic material. But now with the advent of the internet, you pretty much can get free of charge pornography, which is something which, youngsters at the age of 10, 11 are getting access to now. This is now something which is almost, you can say it's a pandemic. It's no longer restricted to one or two streets or communities. I'll just give you one example of the consequences of pornography on family life. And I'm going to finish on this, which is, there's a lady who contacted me who, after 30 years of marriage, wanted divorce. So I asked her, what's the reason for divorce? And she's mentioning about problems in the bedroom. And then she said to me on the side, she said, but I just want to tell you something in confidence. My husband has been addicted to pornography from before we got married. And he doesn't get satisfaction in anything unless it's like what he sees. What happens is the pornography industry is designed to activate in the mind certain hormones and chemicals. And that cannot be achieved in the normal halal way. And what happens is the youngsters feel when they're getting married, they have too high expectations of what they're supposed to achieve in the bedroom. And that has an impact on the marriage. It makes the wife objectified, basically. It makes the wife look like a car, a material, just something you throw away. You fulfill your desire. Allah has given us desire, but this desire, if it's left without any control or restrictions, like Allah says, إِنَّهُ كَانَ فَاحِشًا وَسَاءَ سَبِيلًا. This is something which, if you leave out of control, pornography will literally destroy the fabric of your family. So I would say to the youngsters, look, if you are addicted to pornography, don't be ashamed to speak to a scholar about it. Or if you're afraid of a scholar, speak to someone that you can respect. There are organizations out there who actually will help you. You pay them a bit of money subscription, they actually help you to get off pornography. just like people wean themselves off smoking and drugs as well, inshallah.
Jazakumullah khair. So I've had to put my questions aside for now. Hopefully, inshallah, we'll in the next opportunity we'll have another chance to sit down, inshallah ta'ala. So the goal of today's panel was not only to highlight some of these issues that our youth are facing, but also try to look for certain solutions. I would advise, my final thought would be, speak to your local scholars, speak to your local imam, go to your Urdu masajids, and try to collectively come up with a solution to some of these issues that our communities are facing. I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alleviates the issues that our communities are facing, such as drugs, knife crime, gang crime, and also this pandemic now, like pornography, which is affecting so many of our youth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect